that I could just dress casual, like I'm practicing or something, and I come here and I love it. My first guy sees Montreal, and I said, what the hell, are you going to a wedding here, or where are you going? And I come here and perfect working woman, perfect working woman, perfect working man, medium. And then I see Chris Holman come in, and he's in a suit. So there's three people a little out of line here. The rest of us would be unbelievable Ubers, proud of every one of you. It looks like a European wedding when I look around here. There was a keg of beer and a pasty on those tables, we'd be all set. But it really is a privilege, and it's a privilege to be up here with all these great people in their profession. I mean, when you accomplish what you've done, Chris, it's incredible. And you married right. And you got your own Hall of Fame. You talk about mine, you've got your own Hall of Fame selection, so congratulations to you. But what I did is I normally, like Sheri said, I don't usually write up a lot of things. I usually try to talk off the cuff, but I'm going to talk on the cuff for a little bit, and then we're going to open up for some questions and have some fun here instead of making this boring. I was most impressed when I read, as my guy gave me what I was doing and a little bit about your incredible company. It started, we're here to build people, not parts. So they pushed me on their perceived potential. I mean, if we would all do that with our kids, with our players, with our employees, with our community, we'd have a hell of a lot better place. So I'm voting for you for president. Right now. But, wow, I feel my job is similar, to be honest with you. My job is to make a player better than he thinks he is. And to do that, it takes a lot of categories that I'm going to try to cover that it seems like, as I've met a lot of people here, you have. And that is priceless. That is priceless. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Culture is a very, very, very important thing. It's what I'm struggling with most in my job right now, because to have culture, you've got to have consistency. To have culture, you have to have older people leading the younger people that join your team, your organization, your company. Right now, ours is a little bit transactional. And that's not how I built the program. So I'm fighting tooth and nail to keep our culture alive. And that is something that I'm happy to say you have here. To create a big culture, it's great for yourself. You need a culture around you. You're gonna become successful. You can't do it by yourself. You know, I tell my guys once in a while, I said, listen, if you want to do this on your own, go be a golfer. Go be a tennis player. But 90% of the sports are team sports. 90% of the marriages are team marriages. 90% of the companies, 99% are team companies. There's got to be a team element in there. You know, when I first got here, one of the first people I met as a GA was Magic Johnson. He was here working out first week I got here. And he was talking about, I just won the championship, and he was talking to me about what it takes to win championships. He said, you got to get great players. Great players play great, but elite players make others great. And I think that's a hell of a point. I think that's something that is really important as you look at a company like this and you get people moving in, and here, the only way they move out is if they die, right? Nobody leaves this place, from what I understand. So that's pretty cool. So it's our obligation. I say our, I'm one of you. See, I'm from a really, really small town in the UP. There's about 7,000 of us up there, 8,000 of us. In fact, I first met Sheri when she was on TV because my team, Iron Mountain, was playing her team. Was it Ravenna? Yeah, Ravenna. And in football. And when you're from a small town, and we're from small towns, are you from here?
Yep.
Small town? Lansing? New York? Compared to here? Compared to here? So we got one from New York, the rest of us are just small town people. And I said I was raised by the community. You know, they say there's an African proverb that says, it takes a village to raise a child, right? When I went home at night, came out of school, the principal lived behind me, the chief of police lived on the right side of me, the superintendent of schools on the left side of me. If I got in any trouble, my mom knew it before I even got in the door, you know? But it was a pain in the butt then, but it became so important later on in life to me. And I really believe that we have an obligation to the people in our communities. Now, the greatest thing that I feel I'm a part of is my community. I mean, I love my community. I mean, Mariucci and I still go up north to that community that we started at and still try to do some charity events there, because not forgetting where you came from is very important. If you never leave, like Chris, you got going, you don't have to worry about forgetting where you came from because you never left where you came from. And I respect the hell out of that. I really, really, really do. Ownership is something that when you stay a long time and there's a good culture, you take ownership. I don't like people that check the box, punch their name in the card and check it. You know, I've come in, I've left. I don't really value where I'm at. I think ownership is a really big key. So leaders, which we all need to be, because there aren't as many leaders anymore. There really aren't. It's getting harder and harder to be a leader. Because a leader is abnormal. And people like just normal. It's safe, it's comfortable. We don't want to be comfortable, the leaders. People don't communicate as well. The phones, you know, we have a box in our office, in our meeting room with our players. They have to put their phone in the box before they come into my meeting. And our women's coach, Susie Merchant, a few years ago, came in and told me, if you don't start getting on Twitter and work on your phone skills, you're going to lose a lot of recruits. Didn't happen. You know, it didn't happen. And I say that because those phones are cancerous to our players at times. And what it really has done is it's hindered our communication skills. To be in a big company, to keep that company going, that's what's incredible that you've done. You know, it's easy to get to the top once. You know, when we won the national championship, and there were certain people that wanted to canonize me for a minute. Now remember, the difference, I want you to know the difference. Here's the difference between sports, media, sports, and business, all right? We both have people to serve. And we both have people that can be critical. You have quarterly statements, am I right in business? Right? I have that damn scoreboard. That scoreboard's up there, and you know whether I'm successful or failing every second of every game. At least you get the high for like 3 months, you know? I don't ever get the high. They look at me every game and they're mad at me and it's only the first quarter. So I think we have similar things that we do, but just never put a scoreboard in that building, okay? Accountability. You know, another area that I think is very critical in successful organizations. How do you be accountable? It seems so simple. Accountability, be on time. Do your job right. Take care of your business. Accountability doesn't seem hard. What do we do as leaders? You ask me what my biggest, strongest suit is. You know, and Sheri says defense, and you know, I get killed on your rebounding coach, or this and that. I'm none of the above. I'm not the best at any of those things, not even close. But I do think I'm best at one area. I spend time with my people. And time is something we don't have enough of. And time is something we don't really appreciate when somebody's spending. I can tell you so many coaches I know that they kind of punch the clock. You know, most of my best work is done at 2 in the morning when we come back from Iowa and it's 20 below zero, and the kid had a bad game, and I put him in my car and I drive around campus and put him in there and take him to get a burger late at night. I'm a big spender. It's either Burger King or McDonald's. But I get more done during that time because you don't get one-on-one time. If I was running a big company, which I'm not, but if I was, I would take a half a day a week and I'd walk through that company and I'd try to meet and learn. I heard something phenomenal. I heard you write out birthday cards. Is that true? God, I love you for that. That is so unbelievable. I mean, I don't do that. And I don't do that, but that is incredible. So spending time, I think, is one. I do another little deal, right? Setting goals. Setting goals. Just because you're in a company, there's goals to be set, with accomplishments to be gained. There's always a game out there. You always want to get better. If you stay the same, somebody's passing you by. Okay, so it's not good enough to be good. Somebody's passing you by. So to set goals, I give a kid a 3x5 card every year, start of the year. A little 3x5 card. I said, tell me 5 things you want to accomplish this year. Because I think as leaders, we get to be dictators sometimes. We get to be like, I don't like this, I'm talking down to you. I don't mean to talk down to you, but I think as leaders, sometimes we aren't right within everybody. So I take this 3x5 card and I sit down and I tell the whole team, write 5 things you want to accomplish. Here's some of the ones I get. I want to be an All-American. I want to win a national championship. I want to play in the NBA. I got some kids, I just had one that graduated, Jay Dagans. He wanted to be an academic All-American, and he wanted to keep his religious beliefs. He just left as the 7th player in the history of the school to become an academic All-American, and kept his religious beliefs. But most of them are pretty much the same. You know, they all say, I want to graduate. You know why they all say I want to graduate? Because they all got moms. And they know if they don't put that down, and I tell their mom that wasn't one of their goals, they're going to get their ass kicked. You know? So they all put graduation there. And so then I wait a week, and I bring it to my office, and I have a 15-minute meeting, and I say to them, are these your goals? Yeah. So this is what you want to do. Boom, 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 boom. You know that there's only 1% of the players that play college basketball that make it to the NBA. Oh, no, I didn't really know that. Have you ever won a national championship? No, Coach, I haven't won one. Have you ever been an academic All-American? No, Coach, I haven't. Have you ever won the Big Ten championship? Let's say, no, Coach, I haven't. And I said, well, number one, you're going to need me. I want to make sure they know who the boss is. This guy's getting hammered. So I said, you're going to need me, and you're going to need your assistant coaches, because we've coached guys that have done that. And we've seen guys that should have done that failed. And so in this card, then I pull out when I was real young down here, I was going to build a house, and I had the blueprint. And I take out that blueprint, I slap it on the table. I said, I got a blueprint to get you to all these goals. There's going to be a lot of roadkill. A lot of roadkill on the way. I'm not sure you're tough enough, strong enough. You're all good enough. You're all good enough to be Chris someday. You're all good enough. It's whether that's your route you choose. And so, as the year goes on, and they screw up somewhere, I always say, you know what? Let's go back and relook at the goals. So that would be something for the leaders in this group. I would get a 3x5 card. It doesn't cost a nickel. Get a pencil and call it a day. Leaders should create 3 things to me. Discipline, which is almost illegal anymore. Accountability, and some structure. So people know what they're doing. You have to give them structure. Don't assume anything. Give them goals, give them some structure on how to accomplish what they've got to accomplish. I played 1 year of football at Northern Michigan University, and when I was up there, I had a coach named Buck Neisman. And he coached my buddy Marilin and I, and kind of mentored us. He came to Michigan State. One of the reasons I'm here is because of Buck. And Buck looked at me one day and chewing me out, and he said, "Remember, son, discipline's the greatest form of love you can show someone." You know, sometimes we're afraid to hold our own kids accountable because we want them all to like us. I don't want anybody to like me. I really don't. Not in the 4 years they're there. I want them to respect me, but I want them to love me 5 years later. I want them to come back, like my guys do. And the ones that didn't do it as well say, "Coach, now I know." "Why do you know now?" "I just got married. I just had a baby. I just had this. I just had that." And things change. So how, as leaders, we can get people to understand discipline's a good thing. It really is a good thing. Last couple of things that I want before I open up for questions. Are you a seeker or are you an avoider? Do you see things or do you avoid them? Because if you avoid things, just think of two things. If you avoid it, the little cavity goes into a root canal, right? If you avoid it, little spot of cancer turns into something serious. It's the same in everything else. Don't avoid things, communicate. Communicate those things to the people you're supposed to communicate. Can't avoid tough situations. And if you don't learn to live through tough situations, you're not going to be nearly as successful. Right now, kids in my profession of football and basketball, in every football locker room, where's Jimmy Baker? Raise your hand. Where the hell is he?
Where'd he go?
Where?
Baker.
Where'd Baker go? Probably fell asleep. Typical coach. Anyway, every football locker room I've ever been in, right? It's when the going gets tough, the tough get going. In college athletics right now, they've kind of made it where it's when the going gets tough, get the hell out of Dodge. And it really is. And I fight it every day. And I fight it every day because I'm not worried about 1% of my guys get to the NBA. 1%. But guess what? 100% enter our society. 100% enter our society. When they get into our society, they've got to be able to handle themselves in a better way than when things get tough, get the hell out of Dodge. All right. Key terms in my office every day. Got them as my staples. Key terms. Can you self-evaluate? If you walk up to one of my players, you see him in a mall, you see him in a game, you see him in a bar, you see him wherever you see him, one of my players, and say, what does Coach Izzo say the hardest thing to do in life is? I swear to you, I don't care who it is, if they don't, you call me. You got 2 tickets to any game you want, including the Northwestern game. All right? But every player is going to answer the hardest thing to do is self-evaluate. It's easy for people looking from the outside in to pick you apart. It's hard for yourself to look from the inside out and really pick yourself apart. Or what can I improve on? Or what can I do? I mean, kids nowadays, we have this thing called positive reinforcement. All for it. Johnny, you got a D. But you know what, Johnny? It was a good D. It was a good D, you know. There's so much of it, we just don't hold people accountable. So I think self-evaluation is important. What's the next part of that? Self-motivation. If you can't evaluate, how do you motivate? If you already think you're great, why would you try to get better? So self-evaluation and then self-motivation. Then I stole one. I went down and visited Nick Saban. I went to his spring practice about 8 years ago. And on his wall going in, it's a good thing for your employees, on his wall going into the assistant coach's locker room, got this big thing in there. It says, confront and demand. I go, Nick, what the hell does that mean? He says, I'll tell you what it means. These people are afraid to confront people. They're afraid to confront. So you have to confront people on what they did wrong. I said, well, that makes sense. He said, if you don't demand that it changes, you've accomplished nothing. So you confront the problem, you demand there's a change, and then you have the best year that you've ever had here, okay? So that's for you. You're confront demand. And the last one is the one that I use a lot in my players. It's a little different in business, but it's a lot in my players. It's called the Izzo 3 L's. The 3 L's are, do you like what you do? Do you love what you do? Or do you live what you do? And I'm not always proud that there's not a lot of balance in my life sometimes. But I love what I do, and I live what I do. And I think that's about the only way you can be elite at something. You can be good. And good is good. You can be great. And great is great. But to be elite, where you do get to stand somewhere where nobody else has stood, I think you gotta live it. So a lot of motivated, not as many motivated people in the world. It's our job to motivate those people. In business, in sports, I learned what Mateen Cleaves had him, a player-coach team is better than a coach-coach team. So I made that comment one time his senior year. And some media member said to me, well, not you, no, a media member from the poison side, the sports side, said, well, what does that mean? I said, well, a player-coach team, if a player is coaching the other player, it comes through a lot more than if I'm coaching. If an employee is coaching a fellow employee, it's better than you do. I promise you. Because that means your employees have taken some ownership. That means your players have taken some ownership. So you know what the media guy said? And why the hell are we paying you so much money? I said, good point. I have another one. Learn to listen and listen to learn. I just got done with my camp. I tell these little 8-year-olds, learn to listen, listen to learn. These kids are just crazy, you know, when they're 8, 9 years old. But learning to listen and listening for a reason to learn, a lot of people listen. A lot of people hear, but a lot of people don't learn from what they hear. So learn to listen, listen to hear is one of my staples. The last couple, I despise something that's going to probably freak you out. Not Northwestern, not the media, not Michigan. I despise people that give me this one. I lead by example. I had a great player, a little kid from Grand Rapids. His parents came in his 3rd year. He was really good. Started as a freshman on a Final Four team, 5. And they said, what word do you want on him? I said, I want him to lead more. I want him to do more. They said, well, he's a 3-9 student. He's in your morning, noon, and night. He's doing this, he's doing that. He talks good about the program. He helps in recruiting. I said, does all those things. 100%. And Mom looks at me like, what the hell else do you want from this kid? They said, when he comes in to shoot, or when he's sitting in his locker, he's always organized. He always knows what the scouting report. He knows everything. But he didn't bring anybody with him. He doesn't come in to shoot and bring 4 guys with him. If you just take care of your own business, you're not a very good teammate. You got to take care of your business, and you got to help other people take care of theirs. Because there's not as many self-motivated people. My last 2 things. How many are satisfied with where you are now? The job you've done. Are you satisfied with where your company is now? I love that. I am. Are you? Huh? You won't, because she'll be all over you. It'll be a bad deal at home. I know that. We win the national championship. I got 2 players. Anybody know what the John Wooden Award is? You you're a little more common with the Heisman Trophy. The Heisman's in football, the John Wooden Award's in basketball. So the John Wooden Award, they invite the 5 finalists to California, meet with this legendary coach, who most of you won't know now, he coached at UCLA. And it was a black tie event, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Walton, 1,500 people. I had to wear a damn tuxedo. I put on my coveralls and a t-shirt, and I figured out that that wasn't a black tie event. It wasn't a UP, so I thought I was safe. Go to the event, I got Mateen Cleaves on one side, I got Morris Peterson on the other. I'm the only coach there with 2 guys in the finalists for the Wooden Award. So I'm walking up there and I'm so nervous, I just want to say hello to John Wooden. And so that was my dream, I could meet John Wooden. So I go up and I'm about to meet him, and I'm about to tell him my name. He goes, hello, Coach Izzo, congratulations on winning the national championship. I look at Cleves, I said, he knows my name. Guy knows my name. I looked at Morris, I said, you ain't that good, he knows my name. So I introduced him to my 2 guys. And he says, well, I'm going to talk to you guys in there. It's great to have you here. Like I said, all his great UCLA players were behind me. Okay? All in tuxedos. It's an unbelievable event. So as I'm walking away, John says, hey, Tom, welcome to the fraternity of 40. John was about 89 years old. I looked at my players, no insult to age, I love it. But I said, I'm saying to myself, fraternity of 40? What's he talking about? So Bill Walt was there. Bill Walt was a 7-footer. He had done a couple of our games in the NCAA tournament. I said, Bill, come on down here where the air's a little thicker and talk to me for a minute. So he bends down and I said, what is the fraternity of 40? And he said, you don't know what the fraternity of 40 is? I said, no, I have no clue, so don't play with me. I'm in a hurry. And he says, well, the fraternity of 40 means you're one of 40 coaches that have won a national championship. I go, really? So I'm like growing, I'm 6'4", 6'6". Pretty soon I'm feeling so good about myself. I'm 7 foot, looking Bill eye to eye. I'm telling my players, I'm like, 40 guys that won a national championship. So I said, geez, thanks, Bill. And I started walking away. He said, by the way, Tom, John has won 10 of them. So that's why we can't be satisfied. Okay, we cannot be satisfied where we are. We got to think about where we can go. And so we've been to 7 other Final Fours, haven't been able to win one yet. Still the goal, still the dream, still the drive, still what keeps me going every day. So the John Wooden story was one of the best. But I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite players. His name is Tum Tum Nairn. Tum Tum's from the bad side of the Bahamas. And wasn't a great player, but was an unbelievable kid. And every day at the end of practice for 4 years, you meet how the guys go to class, make sure you don't get in trouble. You have these meetings that you cover some things. And before we got done, everyone put their hands in, and Tom would say, remember guys, we don't have to be here. We get to be here. You know what? Those of you that work for this incredible woman and her sidekick husband, you don't have to work here. When you work at a place like this that's been as loyal, committed, impressive as they are, we'll find somebody else to work here. You don't have to do it. Just remember you get to, and if it ever turns that you have to, I would hit the road. Hopefully you don't mind. I would want you here. I want you to realize and appreciate and not be entitled like so many people are right now. So with that being said, I'll open it up to a few questions. I hope you enjoyed some of the things I've gone through, success and failures, a lot more failures than success. Who's